Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Planning and Heritage Committee meeting, Thursday, October 24th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Do we have any declarations of conflicts today? Okay, seeing none. Before we get started, I just want to welcome a new employee in the Planning and Heritage Department, a Planner 3, and his name is Sebastian Hall. So welcome to the city of Charlottetown. Yep. Now, before I ask for an approval of the agenda, we are going to be removing item A, the review of the City of Charlottetown's draft official plan, as we have some time constraints today, and we want to ensure that we have all committee here, as well as the time to have a good, fulsome discussion. So can I get somebody to move? Moved by His Worship, seconded by Councilor McCabe, that we will remove item A.
And Madam
then-
Chair, with
yes?
that just on the floor, I did leave a copy of just this morning's article in The Guardian, that the Guardian newspaper, Summerside passes plan at 153. They did make some changes, so I think hopefully our planners, Donna, Madam Chair, or someone can get up and reach out to, I think it's Thane, just to see what transpired there. They did both, the official plan and the zoning development bylaw, but I think that's just too big for us. Just some good reading. Thank you.
For sure. No, thank you, Your Worship, for that. And the other thing I ask is if committee's okay with this, we would like to add an item to the agenda, and it's an update on the Planning and Heritage Team Capacity and Administration Action. So moved by His Worship, seconded by Councilor McCabe. So now we have that item for our agenda, as well as the contract awards of the city's zoning and subdivision bylaws. So an approval of the new agenda, moved by His Worship, seconded by Councilor McCabe. Okay, so we'll move right on to our first item on the agenda, which would be the contract awards, city's zoning and subdivision bylaws.
Just a point of order, adoption
Yes.
of minutes.
Oh, mercy.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
mercy. Oh, I'm
Don't
so
let that go,
sorry.
Madam Chair.
An adoption of the
Moved.
minutes from October 1st, moved by His Worship, seconded by Councilor McCabe. Any business
Yes, I
arising
do.
from those
I
minutes?
do.
Go ahead, Your Worship.
On page 5, I just want to thank Donna and Natalie for sitting down and discussing this Samuel Martin and the Bog project. I think it's just in the infant stages. And I would just ask again, this special dispensation that was referred to, I referred to it in the last meeting, Madam Chair, as it relates to the community fridge. I'd like to just get some more information on special dispensation. And all you have to do is send an email to all of us. That's all I just wanted to get the information. That's it. Thank you.
Sure, okay. Thank you. So we can now move on to our first item on the agenda, which is the contract award for the review and update of the city's zoning and subdivision bylaws. And our Director of Integrated Growth, Michael Russ, will present this report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The report is on page 216 of your package this evening. So earlier this year, a public request for proposals for the review and update of the zoning and subdivision bylaws was posted. The work is part of the City of Charlottetown's initiative list for the Housing Accelerator Fund and is required to be completed in 2025. RFP reviews were completed by the Planning and Heritage Management Team through individual evaluations and averaging the combined scores. The proponent being recommended for this award is based on the highest average total score, which factors in price along with the contents of their technical submissions and alignment with the project scope. Staff recommendation is therefore that Council accepts the bid from Fathom Studio in the amount of $198,160 before taxes for the review and update of the city's zoning and subdivision bylaws.
Great, thank you for that. Any questions from the committee? Your Worship.
Yeah. I know Fathom Studios. It was Acoustics. They've done a lot of work for the city of Charlottetown over the years. But Madam Chair, you know, Upland is currently doing our OP, and I think they would have a sort of maybe a seamless transition from going to from the OP to the zoning development bylaw with the lowest price. Can we get some rationale behind that? I know the scores are 89 to 78.
Through the chair, in response to that, as I mentioned in the report, the criteria was only inclusive of a portion of cost. The majority of the weighting was on the technical submission, and in that, staff really prioritized looking for a robust public engagement program in addition to information around how they would approach, a broad-based regulatory review of our current system that we're operating under, and suggestions for future changes to help streamline development and offer, I would say, a clear expectation for development within the city of Charlottetown moving forward. And the scores reflected that in the overall evaluation completed by management.
Thank you for that clarification, Mike. Anybody else have questions on? Yeah, go ahead, Your
I just want to
Worship.
follow up. Yeah, I know it's in the report, and I appreciate the report. I know the cost is, what, maybe 15% of the overall evaluation of the submissions. So I'm going to just put a couple of questions into one. So were these the only three that we received? Second question is, you state that it's, this work is part of the City of Charlottetown's initiative list for the Housing Accelerator Fund. And I know that the deputy and Councillor McCabe have sat on this committee. This is our second term. But originally, did we not go through the Canada Communities Building Fund? I thought we were in that first. That was the first revenue stream that we looked at. So we've replaced the half with this, with the, replaced half, no, half has replaced the Canada Communities Building Fund? That's my second question. Madam Chair, through to Michael.
Through the chair, to answer your second question, the funding for the zoning and subdivision bylaw is being taken from the Housing Accelerator Fund. I believe the official plan, which we'll be discussing very shortly, was funded through that Canada Building Fund. Yeah. And sorry, if you can refresh me on the first question.
First question was, I know we have three here. They were the only three that were received.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you for that. So you're referring to this, we always refer to it as a zoning and development bylaw, but this is the same thing?
That's correct.
Okay, just for those, and folks of maybe the 8 people that might be listening, that it is the zoning and development bylaw. Okay, thanks. Any other questions? So staff is recommending that council accepts the bid from Fathom Studio in the amount of $198,160 before taxes for the review and update of the city zoning and subdivision bylaws. Does somebody want to put that on the
Moved.
floor? Yeah, moved by His Worship, seconded by Councillor McCabe. So the resolution to go to council is on the floor. Does anyone want to speak to it?
Just quickly, Madam Chair. So again, this is all about timelines. Has Fathom Studio present, like, it's not, again, it might be in the background or I can't see it. Might be a page I didn't turn yet. But is there a timeline? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months?
Through the chair, I don't recall the exact timeline from the proposal offhand, but it was within the prescribed timeline that we're operating under for the Housing Accelerator Fund in our requirements for that.
But the timeline for the Accelerator Fund is 3 years.
The initiative list, again through the chair, identifies clear timelines for each individual initiative. The zoning and development bylaw is slated for, I believe, fall of 2025, and so this proposal meets those requirements.
Okay, so Madam Chair, when we discuss, or when we get Upland to come in and go over and O2 to go over the official plan, there will be language in there to talk about increasing, the housing for the increase in population, migration, whether it's migration or immigration. But Summerside did it with doing both at the same time. Do you think we're gonna have and again, maybe this is not the appropriate question, but I'll leave it. It's just that I think we're gonna have battles on two fronts, official plan, battle there, then we bring out the zoning development bylaw. Could I ask if the director or manager foresee these conflicts repeating themselves one after the other? That's all right.
Through the chair, within the RFP that was drafted and distributed, we clearly identified that there's an expectation, regardless of who was to be awarded the contract, that they would have to work within the draft official plan and ensure that the zoning bylaw is in alignment with the policy framework. The policy framework that has been developed through the contributions of O2 Upland and our team here led by Donna delivers a very broad, flexible framework that Fathom will be able to work within. And
No, Madam Chair, I understand that. The official plan is the, sort of the umbrella of everything that happens in the zoning development bylaw is what flows from that official plan. Understand that. It's just that we get two public meetings that are gonna be contested on, different fronts, and then we're gonna go back at it again. So hopefully it's seamless that we can cover one area off and then don't get bogged down when we start going through the zoning development bylaw, because it's happened in the past, and I just hopefully that we can move forward, because we got a lot of work to do going forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome, and I think that's why and where the importance of the communications team to ensure that the public understands that don't compare what we're doing with what Summerside did, because we're not doing the same thing. We are right now embarking on a new official plan that has not been updated since 1999. So this is a completely brand-new official plan. And from there, we go on to our zoning and development bylaw. And the zoning and development bylaw, the changes to that will be dictated in terms of what we have decided in our zoning and development, or in our official plan. And I think it's really important that when folks come to the public hearing for the official plan, if they start asking questions that are really zoning and development bylaw related, then we have to, in all respect, shut that down and remind them that that's coming. But today, this is about this document, not about that document. And I think it's just going to be really important that that communication is conveyed. That's what I got. So, question, all those in favor of moving this on to council? Okay, we will move this on to council for hopefully discussion and approval. So, moving on to our final item on the agenda today. And I believe that will be our Director of Integrated Growth again. And this is an update on planning and heritage team capacity and an administration action. So over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, the report, or the purpose of this report is to provide an operational update to committee and council and to request additional resources. As I outlined in our September report, there has been a significant surge in development within the recent years within the city of Charlottetown. The workload has far surpassed the existing capacity of the building inspection team, and specifically, the high volume of permit applications, inspections, and enforcement actions has led to some delays in permit processing times and scheduling inspections. These delays ultimately negatively impact project timelines and in turn the overall development progress within the city of Charlottetown. Our efforts to alleviate the workload by hiring contract personnel have been unsuccessful due to difficulties in attracting qualified candidates. The building inspection field is highly specialized, requiring individuals with technical expertise and a deep understanding of municipal regulations and processes. Additionally, the competitive job market for these professionals nationwide has made it increasingly difficult to fill positions on a temporary contract basis, which is what we were attempting to do using the Housing Accelerator funding. Despite continuous recruitment efforts, the city's ability to secure those contract personnel has not met expectations, and the situation has exacerbated the pressure on the existing staff within the team, leading to the need for a more sustainable solution. Given the inability to attract contract personnel and the continued strain on the inspections team, it's clear that temporary measures are insufficient to address the city's ongoing needs. As such, we're recommending that the position initially intended to be filled on a contract basis be made full-time permanent. Permanent position would offer several advantages. One, attracting talent. Full-time positions are generally more appealing to candidates. They offer job security and benefits, which can attract a larger pool of qualified professionals. Two, retention. A permanent role would help the city retain experienced staff, reducing turnover and ensuring continuity of service. And third, efficiency. Increasing the inspection team's capacity on a permanent basis would reduce permit processing times, improve the scheduling of inspections, and support the city's ability to meet development demands in a timely manner. Therefore, our next steps would be a focused recruitment strategy to be developed in collaboration with human resources to attract skilled professionals. 2025-26 budgetary consideration of additional permanent positions to this. During budget deliberations for the fiscal 2025-26 year, staff will request 2 additional positions, including the manager of building codes. That position was approved to be funded in 2024-25 budget by council as part of a June 2023 resolution, but the funding was deferred during budget deliberations this past year. And building inspector level 1. That additional building inspector is required to provide essential capacity and succession planning related to work involving the enforcement of bylaws, building and fire codes, and policies of the city. And finally, we'll continue to assess the performance of the inspection team once the positions are filled, and we'll continue our monitoring to ensure the improvements in service delivery are actually realized. To close, by converting the current contract position into a full-time permanent role, the city can take a proactive approach to addressing the immediate staffing challenges that have been exacerbated by the current development boom. This will help ensure that Charlottetown maintains its commitment to efficient and safe urban development, meeting both current and future needs. Therefore, our recommendation at this time is that council approves the request to change the 3-year contract building inspector level 2 position to a full-time permanent position.
Thank you for that, Mike. I just question in terms of service delivery. When I compare other municipalities to our size, most of those municipalities have 6 inspectors, and we have 2. So my concern would be, definitely during budget, and I say, why wait for budget? If this is a sense of urgency, I dare say it probably should go to council before budget in terms of finding another building inspector, a building inspector 1. But when you mention a manager of building codes, that's great. But is that manager of building codes also going to be able to do some of the on-the-ground work to offset the pressures that the building inspectors have, that we currently only have 2?
Thank you for the question, Madam Chair. That is correct. The intent would be for that position to be a working manager, no different than our 2 existing managers within the planning and heritage team.
Thank you for that. Questions from the others? Go ahead, Your Worship.
So just, Michael, through the chair to Michael. Michael, so we have 2 that are currently there, inspectors, 1's on maternity. So I'm not looking at the next steps, I'm just looking at the needs that are urgent, pressing and urgent. So do we have a contract person there now? Just for the public record?
Through the chair, we were unsuccessful in finding someone to fill the contract position that was approved during this last budget deliberation. That's why we're back here now requesting that change.
Okay, so and I see that in the background, but just for the public record. So you're asking, or do you have someone already in line to maybe take on this position? And if it gets the green light, that means we'll add a third inspector for now, but when the other inspector comes off maternity, we'll have 4. Okay, just clarification.
Through the chair, that's correct. If we're successful in filling this position and this change goes through, we would be at 4 positions in total for the inspections team.
So just, again, Madam Chair, should be wrapping these questions up into one, but I look at, you mentioned, Madam Chair, that there's some municipalities that have 6 inspectors? Would that be Truro? Like, do you have a name, or do you,
Cape Breton?
CRBM?
Yep, they have
Cape
6.
Breton Municipality?
Yep.
Regional municipality?
Yeah.
Okay. Truro, any others that we could look at?
Through the chair, we could certainly bring back a municipal scan.
Yeah.
I would maybe just add that part of our strategic thinking behind this is trying to get ahead of future regulatory changes through the zoning and development bylaw. As we're able to streamline our approval processes on the planning side, that will in turn lead to greater demand on the existing inspections team as well.
Go ahead, Councilor
Thank you,
McKay.
because that's what I was thinking, as we're trying to fast-track all this building, it's more being, planning ahead instead of reacting all the time and being behind the 8 ball, when we know that we're in a housing crisis, and as the deputy continues to point out, it's coming fast and furious. So if we don't have the resources behind us to support this, then we're not doing a really effective job. So I'm all about supporting whatever it is we need, and I understand when those positions are specialized, they're not coming in for a contract term position. We need to, provide some sort of commitment.
And I think we need this sooner as opposed to later. I mean, we have applications in there for simple building inspection approvals for duplexes that are taking weeks and weeks and weeks when, they're not used to that, and, we're getting to the end of the building season. So it is important, and it is an urgent, and unfortunately, we are in a bit of a reaction mode because when the process went through where they were looking to hire someone through a contract position, that person, the only reason they didn't accept it was because it was a contract position. So if the staff at the time had been empowered to be able to say, well, no, we'll just move it into full-time, we wouldn't be quite in the predicament that we're in now. So if you have anything else to offer on that, I think as a council, I think it's a responsibility that we get this to council as soon as we can for a good discussion and come up with some short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions on this problem.
I would maybe just add, again, through the chair, that our long-term thinking on this is recognizing some of the environmental constraints across Canada right now, finding qualified building officials. We want to be in a position where we have enough capacity on the team to bring on more junior members that maybe are not qualified today, but we can bring them in at a level 1 position and allow them the chance to train to achieve their level 1 with mentorship of our senior members of that team, so that we can grow our overall capacity within the group, as opposed to trying to find currently qualified people, because like I said, there's been challenges across the country in doing so.
And Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
if I could just add, I don't think we're disagreeing with going from contract to full-time. Again, it's looking at the short-term, mid-term, long-term. And as you know, Madam Chair, to Michael or Donna, inspection is not just about the building. I think electrical, correct me if I'm wrong, and plumbing, do we do that, or does the province do that?
Through the chair, the province provides those
Yeah,
services.
so I think if you go into other jurisdictions, municipal inspectors, building inspectors do. They have a plumbing inspector, they have an electric inspector. It's, the province just backs up. So we're in a good position when it comes to working with our provincial counterparts. So when you talk about inspection services, we do our duty, or due diligence, then the inspectors, the builders, the contractors have to wait for the other boxes to be checked up. Is that correct?
Through the chair, I would say more broadly too, it's not just challenges with capacity and inspection. There's organizational challenges across the board. A bunch of different departments play a role in the approvals process. And the current capacity that many of these teams have limit our ability to be more nimble in offering, extremely timely comments. But the challenge going forward and what we're looking to invest in through the Housing Accelerator Fund is a robust permit system to help find any efficiencies that we can. So, that's one piece. We have the regulatory piece that we're addressing through the zoning and development bylaw. And then lastly, boots on the ground, and that's what we're talking about today.
And Madam Chair, if you look on page 2 of the document, Building Inspector Level 1, related to work involved in the enforcement of bylaws, building and fire codes. So again, we have fire inspectors that have to be part of that inspection services. So it's provincial, fire, municipal. Yeah, so look, we're going to add on, we have to add on, but the sooner that and I'm just echoing what the chair said, and also I believe Councillor McCabe, the sooner we address this issue, I think we can get more permits out the door, because I'm getting calls, you're getting calls, Donna's getting calls, planners are getting calls. I don't know if Richard's getting calls, but we're all getting calls, and it's just, all I can say is that we're waiting for this additional, the third inspector, which could turn out to be 4 when we get our other inspector back. So the sooner we get this done, the quicker we can get that person hired, correct? So I think if we have to have a noon hour meeting next week, let's have a noon hour meeting to get this person hired and move on.
So I'm wondering, just in terms of being a bit of a proactive committee here, should we not only, for that recommendation, to turn the building inspector 2 into instead of a 3-year contract, into a permanent, should we not be a little more proactive if we can? And that is, instead of waiting for our budget discussions, sending to finance also an ask for the manager of building codes and the building inspector, or one of those two, and we get moving on that one right away too? Like, why would we wait till April?
I know right now, Madam Chair, what you'll get is, what the response you'll get, there'll be other departments saying, no, we got someone we want to push in there too. So it'll cause a ripple effect. I'm just trying to deal with what the director and the manager is suggesting now, is to get in place this inspector and move on, correct?
Councillor McCabe?
And I think you can ask for a whole bunch of presents at Christmas and be glad when you get one. I'm okay with if we want to ask for 2 and be happy with 1. I think we really have to focus, though, that 1's not something that we're waiting on, that this is 1 definitely, but 2 is really good, and this is why. You could always speak to that.
Well, it's committee's decision, so what does committee want to do? Do we want to, staff's recommending that we move forward with with taking to council the change from a building inspector 2 from a 3-year contract to permanent? Do we want to just focus on that for now, or do you want to take anything else with
Move
us?
on the first.
Move on the first, okay? Moved by His Worship and seconded by Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, I'm good moving it. I do agree with you that the fact.
Okay.
Yeah. Have a good,
All right.
strong plan ready for budget. Thank you.
Yep, yeah. But, and that's great, and it's good that we're hearing about the capacity issues today. But in order for council to do council work, the staff have to bring these things to council, and then council can vote yes or no on these things. So when we continuously get calls from developers and residents and applicants that there's an issue, we're hearing there's an issue, so we need to come up with solutions, or we're going to continue to get those calls. So, yeah, it's operational, but council's there to do the hard lifting too, and approve money if we can. So I'm just saying that, if it was up to me, I'd be taking the second one with me in hopes to get 2 right away. But the committee's saying, let's start with one, and
I'm not saying let's start with one. I'm okay with saying you maybe want to ask for your manager, that's going to be your working manager, whatever, but that could be the position that becomes permanent, but whatever we want to do, I'm okay asking for two for sure. I'm just saying that I definitely don't want them not giving us one.
No, but we're in the budgetary process, which is the 24-25 year budget year. So we've already went through this and passed it March 31st of this year. The budget process is now being worked on for
suppose
25-26. So that can be incorporated. I think what we have to deal with right now is get this fourth inspector hired and get he or she.
Take that, what we've already approved, and make it
move
a
on.
permanent. Yeah, I'm
because
okay with
the
that too.
half funding is for 3 years. So if it doesn't go this year, it's coming. Anyways, that's my
okay, well,
thoughts.
we'll do that then, and let's continue the push, though, for bringing the Planning and Heritage Department up to a full complement of staff so that we can get our work done. Okay, great. Any new business? Seeing none, motion to adjourn. Okay, thank you.